Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast, special edition Saturday show to talk about the 2023 NBA free agency. I apologize. Yesterday's show, my devices crashed. So, instead, we will do a larger show on Monday, recapping everything from Friday. So, again, my apologies about that. So this show's about NBA free agency. A ton of things to talk about. The big story of yesterday was a lot of key guys returning to their respective teams. Kyrie Irving stays with the Mavericks, 3 years, $126 million. The Mavs are taking a big risk here to see if Kyrie doesn't get himself into any trouble. It's always best to retain the asset rather than lose it for nothing, so I understand why they did it. This makes some sense. This was expected to happen. And Dallas, we'll see if Kyrie is a different human come the fall. Draymond Green stays with the Warriors, 4 years, $100 million. So he takes a little bit of a pay cut, you would think, to stay with Golden State. I think Golden State had to do it because he's close with Steph and Clay, and you want to keep that group together. And if he left, Steph and Clay would have been upset, and things could have gone haywire with the Warriors. I didn't think that he was going to stay with Golden State because I just had a feeling that something weird was going to happen with that team. But he got a lot less than I thought he would. So good on him for taking less. But it's just too many years, in my opinion. Fred VanVleet to the Rockets, 3 years, $130 million. That is way too much money for Fred VanVleet. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous, his contract compared to Jalen Brunson's. Jalen Brunson's contract is way better than Fred VanVleet. And those two are kind of even in terms of talent. But I believe that Brunson has a much better contract than Fred VanVleet. And now VanVleet is going to be the veteran leader on a young team with a lot of unproven guys. So I don't know if I like this move for VanVleet, but the contract is hideous. But the Rockets had to do something with that cap space. Had to do something. Milwaukee keeps Chris Middleton, 3 years, $102 million player option. In year 3, so not bad for Milwaukee to retain the asset. So about over $30 million a year. So he might be back on the market in 2 years, depending on how it goes. So good on Milwaukee for keeping Middleton. Now what happens with Lopez? Kyle Kuzma stays with the Wizards, 4 years, $102 million. So maybe the Wiz won't be the worst team in the East after all. So he gets over $25 million a year. Good on the Wiz for keeping the asset rather than losing him for nothing. I thought he was going to be a sign and trade to San Antonio, but I was wrong. He stays in DC with the Wiz. And it's him and Jordan Poole as the two best guys on that team right now. Bruce Brown to Indiana, 2 years, $45 million, team option in year 2. Interesting signing. They're trying to build around Tyrese Halliburton, the handsomely paid Tyrese Halliburton, which we'll get to. So, the Pacers had somebody who just won a ring, and he cashed in. And he's going to be making $22.5 million a year. Jeremy Grant, back to the Blazers, 5 years, $160. Contract's bad. But, again, retaining the asset instead of losing it for nothing. That's been the theme of free agency so far with some of these teams re-signing key players. But the contract's hideous. This contract and the Van Vliet contract are the two worst contracts so far in terms of value compared to some other guys and compared to Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, who are arguably both better players than both these guys. So, I mean, you can argue Van Vliet's better than Randle, but position-wise, those two Knick guys are better than these guys and are making less money. So, the contract's bad, but good on Portland for retaining the asset. Cam Johnson back to the Nets, 4 years, $108. Brooklyn had to do it to retain the asset. Gonna be making $27 million a year. And I think Cam Johnson's trajectory is pointing up. Jakob Poeltl back to the Raptors, 4 years, $80 million. Player option in year 4, so $20 million a year. Don't love the contract, but they had to retain the asset. Again, the theme of the show. I mean, the Rockets signed Van Vliet outright, and the Raptors got nothing back for him. So, that's the only, whoa, one that a team lost a player for nothing. Rui Hachimura back to the Lakers, 3 years, $51 million. So he'll be making $18 million a year. Really good contract for Rui Hachimura. Really smart deal. Now the Lakers have to find a way to bring back Austin Reeves. And I like a lot of things the Lakers have done so far. We'll keep going. Gabe Vincent, 3 years, $33 million. This was a surprise one to me. Good job by the Lakers getting a player that is playoff proven, can shoot the 3 ball, can start for them at point guard if need be. That's a great signing. Only $11 million a year for Gabe Vincent. That is a really good signing. So good job by Rob Pelinka there. Seth Curry to the Mavericks. We don't know the terms. It's a 2-year deal. We don't know the number yet, but in terms of player team, it's a good fit. He was in Dallas earlier in his career, and now he returns to Dallas to play with Luka. And he's a really good shooter, as we know. Can swing games, so he'd fit anywhere. Dennis Schroeder to the Raptors, 2 years, $26 million. So the Raptors get Schroeder to presumptively replace Fred Van Vliet. But he gets a major drop-off. That's not a bad contract for Schroeder. But that is a significant drop-off from Fred Van Vliet. Karis LeVert stays with the Cavaliers, 2 years, $32 million, so he's making $16 million a year. Not a bad signing or re-signing. Again, retaining the asset instead of losing it for nothing. So he'll be a bench guy for them, you would think. Drew Eubanks to the Suns, veteran's minimum 2 years. Nice role guy for the Suns to go with their new group of players. Kobe White back to the Bulls, 3 years, $33 million. I don't think I like that contract. He's making the same amount of money as Gabe Vincent, who was just in the NBA Finals. So I don't like the contract, but Bulls retaining the asset. Taurean Prince to the Lakers, 1 year, $4.5 million. So a veteran to the Lakers that can come off the bench and help swing games. Not a terrible deal for them either. Keita Bates-Diop to the Suns, 2 years, $5 million, player option in year 2. Young, talented player. That contract could look good down the road. Damian Lee stays with the Suns, a 2-year deal, player option in year 2. So nice role player off the bench for them. It's kind of like what they've done so far. Troy Brown Jr. to the Timberwolves, 2-year deal, team option in year 2. That's an interesting one. Reggie Jackson back to Denver, 2 years, $10.3 million, player option in year 2. This could work out. He obviously got that big contract from the good playoffs he had a couple years ago, but we'll see how this one goes. But Bleacher Report did not like it. Gave it a D-. I disagree. But I could be wrong here. Javon Carter to the Bulls, 3 years, $20 million. I like Javon Carter. Was a really good role player for Milwaukee. He could come off the bench for Chicago. So I like that one. Chimsy Madu to the Suns, veteran minimum 1 year. Another bench guy for Phoenix. Gorgas Niang to the Cavaliers, 3 years, $26 million. I like this one. The Cavaliers are improving their bench, as they should. That's what cost them the series against the Knicks. So, good stretch 5 player going to Cleveland. Trey Jones back to the Spurs, 2 years, $20 million. So, San Antonio retaining the asset. Joe Ingles to Orlando, 2 years, $22 million. Nice veteran to have there. Been in a lot of big games. If he reforms his Jazz days, then this works out for Orlando. I think it's a good risk. Yuta Watanabe to the Suns, veteran minimum 1 year. We'll see about that. Shake Milton to the Timberwolves, 2 years, $10 million. That's a good contract for Shake Milton. Solid bench guy. So, a couple of key bench guys lost for Philly. Herb Jones stays with the Pelicans, 4 years, $54 million. Really good on the Pelicans retaining the asset. I thought the Pelicans were in trouble for potentially losing him. And he's not making that much million a year either. So I think that's a great contract for Herb Jones. Josh Richardson back to the Heat. 2 years player option in year 2. Trying to find lightning in a bottle here. Don't love it. Cam Reddish to the Lakers on a 2-year deal. Trying to find lightning in a bottle here with this one as well. Julian Champagny stays with the Spurs, 4 years, $12 million. Really cheap contract for Champagny. Trey Lyles back to Sacramento. We don't know yet the terms. So one of their key role players from a year ago. DeAndre Jordan back to the Nuggets. We don't know the term yet. But good for DeAndre Jordan going back to play with Jokic and trying to repeat. So I like that Denver tried to bring back the veterans that saw some time in their run. But obviously, Bruce Brown was a big loss. And then Derrick Rose to the Grizzlies, 2 years, $6.5 million. Really nice deal for Derrick Rose. They need a veteran point guard other than Marcus Smart to be there for Ja. And Rose can come off the bench and spark some minutes. So I don't hate that signing for Memphis at all. And then today so far, so the Raptors extend Gary Trent Jr. So that is good on the that's really good for the Raptors again extending the asset. Kristaps Porzingis gets a 2-year, $60 million extension with the Celtics. I don't hate that. I know Celtics fans might hate it, but I don't personally hate it. Again, it's about retaining the asset, and this contract may not look bad if he stays healthy for a majority of the season and gives them quality production. So, unpopular opinion, I don't hate the Porzingis extension. We'll get into some rumors in a second. The Pistons acquire Monte Morris from the Wizards, so that's an interesting trade. Obviously, they got Jordan Poole, so I'm not surprised that Monte Morris got dealt. Miami trades Victor Oladipo to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're obviously clearing cap space for something, and then Oladipo's back on OKC, so we'll see what happens with that. Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers, 5-year max extension, $260 million. That's a lot of money. $52 million a year for Tyrese Halliburton, which is wild. But he deserved it. He was one of the best players in the East last year. And they would have been more in the mix in the East this last season if he didn't get injured. So I expect the Pacers to be better next year with the addition of Bruce Brown. Halliburton's there long term. We'll see what happens with Miles Turner. So I'm very, very interested to see what goes down with Indiana. Desmond Bane, max extension, 5 years, $207 million. Grizzlies extend one of their key players, arguably their second best player, in Desmond Bane. So he's going to be making over $40 million a year. So, we'll see how that contract works out. I think the Halliburton contract, even though it's more money, is more likely to be a good one than Bane. Because Bane isn't the best player on a contender. He's the second best player on a contender. And the most surprising one of the day so far, arguably of all free agency, Max Strus to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 3-team sign and trade deal. 4 years, $63 million. 3-team sign and trade deal. C.D. Osman and Lamar Stevens go to the Spurs, and the Spurs send the Heat a second-round pick. I do not like this for Miami. They could have done better in a sign and trade for Max Strus. They could have done a lot better. They only get a second-round pick. And the funny thing about Strus to Cleveland, again, this came from somebody from Bleacher Report. But he works for NBA Analysts Network. Evan Massey was the one who broke this story, and I was told that it was fake by a Twitter follower, and I didn't see if this gentleman who broke the story was really a viable source or not. But yes, I understand he works for Hoops Analysts, but he's not the person that you would expect to break a free agency signing, especially an unexpected one like this. And then nobody took it seriously last night, and then it broke this morning with Woj. So credit to Evan Massey. He had it last night. Nobody believed him. So and it's a much needed addition to the Cavs. He'll be coming off the bench for them, and he'll be making $16 million a year, which isn't ideal, but it might be worth it if he is impactful off the bench for Cleveland, because you would think it's going to be in their starting lineup. Allen and Mobley, the two guards, Garland and Donovan Mitchell. And maybe they do start Strus. Maybe they do start LeVert. So, yeah, he might actually be their starting small forward. Yeah, that would make sense. So he won't be coming off the bench. He'll be their starting small forward, which is a pretty good one. So good on the Cavs for filling an important hole in their starting lineup. And then the Brooklyn Nets trade Joe Harris and 2 future second-round picks to the Pistons, so Brooklyn clearing cap space. But I understand that they re-signed Cam Johnson, but I think there's more to that, because they would have re-signed Cam Johnson anyway. So, before this free agency period opened, the rumor mill, Celtics were interested in Pat Beverly. He's still out there. The Clippers are still eyeing Malcolm Brogdon after the failed trade, so that's interesting. So it makes sense for the Celtics being interested in Pat Beverly. The Lakers and the Warriors were talking about Shake Milton, but he went somewhere else. Many teams will be monitoring Giannis' situation in Milwaukee if he doesn't sign an extension. Oh, baby. Whoa, baby. The 76ers are not extending Tyrese Maxey. They consider him a big part of their future, but will delay extension to preserve flexibility, which is smart. But we need to see what they do. They lost 2 key bench guys. They're one of my losers. And then the Lakers were eager to sign Dennis Schroeder, but he ended up going to Toronto. And then Obi Toppin's name was floated out in trade rumors as New York is seeking draft compensation and potential Toppin to the Pacers trade talks. All right, so we'll see what goes down. This is going to be an interesting couple days and weeks of the association. James Harden, when will that get resolved? Austin Reeves is probably the biggest free agent still left on the board. Brooke Lopez is still on the board. So let's see what happens with those two players. So winners and losers real quick. I already told you guys who I think's a loser right now, and that's Philly. They're going to lose Harden, and they lost Niang, and they lost Milton. So there were some significant losses on Philly. To me, they're a loser. Brooklyn, right now, winner. Toronto, loser because they lost Van Vliet. Boston, winner because they extend KP. And we'll see. New York, that's a hard one. You could argue winner because Josh Hart opted in, but you could argue loser because they didn't get anybody yet. So they're a TBD right now. But Josh Hart opting in was good, so he's back. So I guess right now winner, but that could flip if a couple things that don't go their way. Cleveland, big time winner, getting Strus, re-signing LeVert, and getting Niang. I love what the Cavaliers have done. Bucks right now is a winner because Middleton's back. Pacers winner, they extend LeVert and they bring in Bruce Brown. Pistons, they get the 2 second-round picks in Joe Harris. And they get Monty Morris. That's a weird situation in Detroit, so we'll see what happens there. To me, they're a TBD. But lean to winners, like similar to New York in a way, except New York's in a better situation, obviously. And the Bulls. God, I hate to say this, but a winner. I don't like any of the decisions they've made over the past several years as a whole, but they bring back Vucevic for 3 years, 60, which was kind of done before free agency started, amazingly enough. And they bring in Javon Carter off the bench, so that's a winner. I don't like the Kobe White thing, though. Loser, Miami Heat. Duh. They lose Strus, they lose Vincent. They lose Oladipo, like that matters, but they're a loser right now. Sorry. Unless you trade for Lillard or Harden or somebody that'll help your team, you're a loser. Hawks, TBD, really haven't done anything yet. Charlotte, loser, haven't done anything yet. Washington, winner because they bring back Kuzma. And Orlando, I kind of like what they did with Ingles. I don't hate that deal, so I'm going to say winner. Western Conference, we'll start with the Lakers. They're my big winner in the West. Retaining Hachimura, getting Gabe Vincent, a couple of other veterans to fill out the roster, and we'll see what happens with Austin Reeves. So, Lakers are my West big winners so far. So, the Cavs and the Lakers, to me, are my big winners so far. Clippers, TBD. We'll see if they get Harden. But they're TBD, but lean loser right now. But if they get Harden, depending on what they give up, come back to me. Golden State winner, bring back Draymond. And that means something to that core and Steve Kerr. So, that makes a lot of sense. You have the Kings. I'm going to say they're a winner right now. They bring back Harrison Barnes. Maybe they do some other stuff. And by the way, I just saw on the ESPN screen, Lakers offer Reeves 4 years, 52. That's way too low. That's way too low. Somebody's going to go with the higher price, and the Lakers got to match that. And then the Suns right now, winner, because they're putting some good depth pieces around their stars. Portland, right now, winner. They still have Dame. They bring back Grant. But it depends on if they trade Dame and what they get back. But the reason why they're a winner right now, even though I do not like the contract for Grant, but it's all about retaining the asset. Utah, right now a loser. I thought they would make a big splash. They haven't done so yet. Denver, loser, only because they lost Bruce Brown. And those two veteran guys literally only play, a combined 10 minutes a game. So right now, Denver's a loser. And I don't like saying that about a team that just won the championship. Thunder, they're a loser. I thought they would do something kind of cute and everybody turned their heads. But they haven't done that yet. Minnesota, loser. They really haven't done much yet. The Milton contract's not bad, but they really haven't done anything wowzer yet. So the Northwest Division, really as a whole, have not, outside of Portland, really, have not really had a good start to free agency. And last but not least, the Southwest Division. We'll start with the Rockets. They're a winner. They get a big-time player in Fred VanVleet that's played in a lot of big games. So that makes them a winner. The Spurs, I gotta be honest, I'm a little disappointed in them. I wanted them to do something big. They have a lot of cap room. I know they took on some guys from the Cavs so they can get Strus in there, but that's not enough for me. The Mavericks, I'm sorry, they have to be a winner. If they lost Kyrie for nothing, they would have been a big fat loser. Not that I love Kyrie by any stretch of the imagination at this point of his career, but it's like I said, it's all about retaining the asset. I think that's the phrase of the podcast. Grizzlies, winner, extending Bane, getting Derrick Rose was nice. Marcus Smart, good acquisition. And last but not least, the Pelicans, winner because they retained Herb Jones. And I thought that they had to do it, even though I had Herb Jones leaving to go to the Thunder. That did not happen, and the Pelicans retain its asset in Herb Jones. All right, so that's updated NBA free agency, winners and losers stuff from the first not even day of free agency. Big time show coming to you on Monday. A lot more NBA and NHL free agency to do. And recapping everything from Friday and the weekend. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.